everyone, welcome back. Okay, so today's video is a fun one, I think, because I'm going to be sharing with you frames. Cheap frames, moderately priced frames, and oh my god, did that really cost that much frame? Yes, so with that said, let's just jump right in. So this is frame number one. This is the cheapest frame that I have, and I'm showing you this with the reflection because I want you to take note of how much reflection there is for this cheap frame. It's a very thin piece of glass, super reflective. It's basically a mirror, as you can see there, but I'll zoom in. It is of my two favorite characters of all time. Don't know if you can see that. There we go. From the X-Files, love them, autographed. I got that as a gift from a friend. Sarah, again, thank you. I love you. I love it. It is on my wall in my studio. It's amazing. But anyways, yes, it is in a cheap frame. It's all that I had. It fit great. So whatever, it is what it is. And it does protect it somewhat. So even the cheapest frame will protect your item at least a little bit. So super thin glass. The wood, okay, this is real wood. It's very lightweight. I mean, it's super lightweight. I'll turn it around. Now you can see the grain. It is actually wood, but it's a really, really light and expensive wood. It does have a protective enamel finish on it. You can see here. So that does protect the wood a little bit. It is stapled in the corners, but here's something to look for with a cheap frame. And I don't recommend these because these little black tabs easily slide in and out of place. Sometimes they will slide out of place and become loose, and this cheap cardboard backing can fall off and your image falls off. So you don't want that. So this is something to look out for. These are not recommended, at least not from me. You want something with actual framing staples in there, and I'll show you an example that I have later on. Another thing is that these frames usually have these super cheap, thin, flat little hooks that you're supposed to pry out, and they have little sawtooth hooks right there that you're supposed to pry out and catch the nail with. So these are things you're going to look for in a super cheap frame. These are okay for, you know, really basic stuff. If you're selling something for pretty inexpensive, if you just need something framed, it's okay. Now there are cheaper frames in this that I definitely don't recommend, that I won't buy whatsoever, period. And those are ones that are screwed together here. They're metal and you have to screw them together. Those screws do come loose. They do fall off during shows. I have seen this happen during art shows. So I recommend staying away from the cheap aluminum frames that you have to assemble. They're not pre-assembled, and the screws come loose. And sometimes in the corner, they'll have these metal tabs or bent metals that you push down and sort of shove up in it to hold the backing in place. Don't recommend that because those also will pop off. So this is not the cheapest frame in the world, but it is still pretty cheap. But this is what you're getting for your money. This was like $12, I think, or something. It's not bad on Amazon. I'll link everything that I'm talking about down below in the description box so you can check it out if you want. But this frame is fine for me. This is in my studio, my personal space. It looks good. It does keep it protected from some things, so it's not a big deal. But it is pretty inexpensive. It's the most inexpensive frame that I have in my studio. So cheapest frame, number one, under $15 for sure. Let's move on to the second cheapest frame. Okay, so second cheapest frame option is this large floating frame here. You see the painting of my cat Osiris in. I know it's quite large and it is wood, but it is the second cheapest. And there's no glass on this one either. So it's just a simple frame that I ordered off of a website called Jerry's Artorama, and they have really, really good prices on their frames. The only downside is you can't buy just one. I think you have to buy a minimum of 3, which was unfortunate because the other 2 sat in my garage for years, like 5 years or more, until I recently just decluttered it. You can see that on the decluttering video I did a few weeks back. So anyways, this is wood. And in case you guys don't know what a floating frame is, I'll see if I can show you. This is why it's called a floating frame. Okay, so the image is actually sitting more like on top of the frame, right? Sort of nested in, rather than having the frame touch the side. It's floating. This is a space. And I kind of like the look. I think it looks really cool. It just looks like your painting is floating within the frame. So that's what it's designed to look like. And I'll flip it over so you guys can see the back. So this is the back, and it is attached with these little brackets that they give you. It is very secure on here. And that's how you would install this one, because of the way that it's shaped, because it is floating. You can't just put the little staples in here like you normally would, because the staples won't serve any purpose. The painting's sort of nested in from the front, so the painting would just fall off. So you do have to attach it like this with the brackets. It is solid wood. Might be MDF, but it is definitely solid wood, and you get the metal brackets. So it's not very expensive. I think it was like $25 or $35 for this simple wood frame. It's quite large. It's really nice. It's solid. It's sturdy. It's a really good option if you like that look. It only works on paintings that have their sides finished. Again, it won't really work on anything super flat like a print. So it is for canvases. So you can see here, the sides have to be finished, because you do see the sides of your painting on this one. So framing option number 2 is a nice solid wood floating frame that you would obviously have to install yourself, which is not hard at all. It's super easy, guys. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay, so framing option number 3, this is a ready-made frame. The other 2 that I just showed you are also obviously ready-made. It means that they're already put together for you. You pick them off the shelf and put your art in there. So this one is a standard ready-made. It is solid wood. It does have that inexpensive glass that I was telling you about that's super shiny, reflective. And this is a print of actually a painting I did that was featured on Portlandia in one of the episodes. So the original sold long ago. I don't have it, so I just kept one of the prints of a grayscale painting I did. So anyways, the thing about this one, why it's the 3rd most expensive, is because it has a mat. It has a custom mat. It didn't come with this mat. I had to get a mat for it that would work with the print. So mats, here's something to keep in mind. Mats are very expensive when you think about it. They're usually the same cost for a ready-made frame. So I think this ready-made frame was about $25. 25 to 30, and then the mat though was another 30 at least, because I remember paying close to 80 for this whole thing. So maybe the rest was, you know, labor. People have to consider that as well. So I didn't do it. I took it into Frame Central. I picked out a ready-made frame, and I had them make the mat for it and put it together for me, which saved me time and energy. So this was about $80 for this simple black wood frame, ready-made, with the mat and the glass. Now, it's quite nice when you have them do it, because the back is finished. So this is actually quite easy to do too, by the way. They used to have a workstation there at Frame Central. I love that place, where you can actually go in and just buy your mat and put it together. It's quite simple. You have a roller of sticky tape. You roll that around the edges, and then you lay this painting or whatever down, and you push it in so that it sticks, and then you take a razor or scissors and you just cut off the excess. So that's how you get the paper on there. And then you simply screw in the little hooks here with the wire, and that's about it. It really is easy. Anybody can do that. If I can do it, you guys can do it. So, but they did it for me. So they finished the backing for me. They put the paper on, and they put the nice little hooks in there, and then a nice thick heavy duty wire that's plastic coated, so you can't cut yourself on it, which is super nice. I love that one. And they wrapped it quite well. You see there, nicely wrapped too. So there you go. So for about $80 or so, that's what you get. You get a finished piece, finished in the frame, right? And the back is finished. So it's quite nice. And that's a fair price, $80 for this. This is a good size. I think it's a 16 by 20. So there you go. That's what you get for about 80 bucks. All right, so the next framing option number 4, this is where it does start getting a little bit more expensive. This is more of a specialty frame. This is where you go into the frame store. This was from Frame Central again. They're amazing. They're great. I highly recommend them. So we took this painting in there. This is a painting my mother did. My father took it in there years ago with my mom and had it framed. So it is a custom frame, because they got to, you know, go on the wall and pick out a frame that they really, really liked that would complement the picture, right? So it's a fall harvest painting, as you can see. and they chose this really beautiful frame that has some vegetation in it. It looks like these are, I think they're pomegranates, but my mom picked it because they do kind of look like onions, with some leaves here and some, it looks like walnut leaf, maybe some nuts and things like that. So it's quite nice. It is a larger size, and this is a beautiful solid wood frame in a custom size. So this is considered a custom frame. They got to pick out exactly what they wanted for their picture here. And so that's what you get for about, I want to say $200 to $300. Okay, it's a nice wood frame. The back's all finished. It has the proper wire and everything on there. You don't have to worry about that when you drop off your artwork. They do it there for you. But you know, this is where you start getting into some really gorgeous framework that really complements the art piece, right? It works well together. It's never gonna get changed out. It's a whole piece at this point. It's quite lovely. So for $300, that's what you're gonna get. Okay, so this next one on the right is the most expensive, and I'm comparing it side to side with the cheap one, the cheapest one, right? There's a reason for this. The first thing I want to talk about before I mention any price or anything is look at the glass. Can you see that? Can you see how the one here is so extremely reflective? It's like a mirror. I mean, there's my living room, there's my arm. You can totally see everything, right? There's, you know, David Duchovny's. I can just put my finger up there and probably pick his nose. Anyway, super reflective, right? It's just kind of crazy. Come over here, there's almost no reflection. You can see a tiny bit of reflection there on the right from the window behind me, but they are in the same spot. Okay, so you can see me there, and you really can't see me at all here. Okay, now here, in case you're wondering, yes, I will put it in front. So again, you can kind of see a little light there in the bottom left from the window, and I'm waving my hand. You can't really, there's nothing there, okay? There's almost no reflection. I wanted to talk about this a little bit and show you guys this because it's actually quite important. What this is museum quality acrylic glass, okay? It has almost no reflection to it. It's incredible. I just absolutely am blown away by the quality. It was worth every penny, which I will talk about at the end here. So this is one of my mom's original pieces from the 60s. She was working at JCPenney's. This was, I think, her sketch for an advertisement that was going out in a catalog or magazine. I think I mentioned this before in my portfolio tour video. We saw these, and I said I'd wanted to get them framed. So finally got them framed. Anyways, yes, this was a little bit expensive, and I'm going to keep talking about why. So yeah, the glass is beautiful. It's just beautiful. The second thing is the wood is extremely high quality, solid. It's quite heavy. There's a lot of weight to this, okay? It's absolutely beautiful. You can see this beautiful finish that it has on it. Let's see if you can camera pick that up. It has a beautiful finish on it. A little bit of texture right there. But then the front has this wonderful texture. Do you guys see that? You can actually touch it. It's just beautiful. And it really complements the ink work throughout the piece, right? So this is a 100% specialty frame. It is special because of the frame that I chose, right? I got to go on the back wall and choose a specialty frame. And then it has the beautiful mat. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but the mat is like a linen weave. Can you see that? Like linen fabric. Gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay. So, and then they mounted it, which is just lovely. So there is a little bit of a gap. And we did that because we didn't want to cut off the hat or lose any of these notes. These notes are actually, I think, what makes it even more beautiful and interesting. So quite lovely. And of course, when you flip it over, again, this was done at Frame Central. They are amazing. Okay. They finished the back for you, and they put the little felt on the back so there's no damaging the walls or anything. And they wrapped it again with the heavy duty coated wire. which is wonderful. So the back is finished, heavy duty wire, solid wood frame with a beautiful finish, gorgeous linen mat with the museum quality acrylic. Okay, so it is a bit smaller, obviously, than the other one I just showed you, the golden frame. And so keep in mind that golden frame was quite large, and that was about $200 to $300. So this one is quite small in comparison. It's about a third the size of the other one. And it is more money because of all those things I talked about, because the mat is expensive, the frame's expensive, and that specialty glass, that's really what was expensive. So yes, the total price for just one of these pieces is about $500. So that's what you're looking at for a $500 framing job. All right, well, there you go. Super cheap frames to really expensive frames. But you know what? You get what you pay for. So it's really up to you on how much you want to spend, but I definitely recommend setting aside some money if you want something framed to get it done right. I hope you enjoyed this video, everyone. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next week, I'll see ya. Bye.